Rambles. Rambles of the Rambler. Do you hear?
Ghastly WARS, a poem from the collection Rambles of a Rambler. Poems to shape and sharpen a mind in need. Every waking day is a victory, a huge victory for humanity. In constant war with nature, winds, quakes and floods, viruses, diseases, and pernicious drives. Man and woman, each waking day should be a devotion for reflection and celebration in thanksgiving for survival at all, as the war, so constant, rages on. To keep up and on with the victory, let peace and love for one another reign, to avoid the guns and bombs wars. So ghastly they are, they give much chance to misery.
Rambles of the Rambler. Rambles. Rambles of the Rambler. Do you hear? The Rambler rambles west.
The poem to be examined today is Ghastly WARS. The Ghastly WARS is all about continued wars, continued hazards, diseases that affect humans. And what you're seeing in this poem is that every passing day, that one is not, on which one is not affected by any of these hazards, calls for reflection, for devotion, for celebration in thanksgiving to God. Is that a good reading of the poem Ghastly WARS?
Yeah, I will say that's perfect. That's a good reading of the poem because it was my concern for the troubles of this world that I was provoked to bring down these lines and to carry out an appeal that humanity should be conscious, because sometimes these things are happening, but some people look at them passively. We should not be passive about it. Because when there is a lot of human destruction, we should one day stand up and say, hey, then what are we doing? That's why we said we should consider it a victory, not only for ourselves, but for the rest of humanity.
Yeah, I've always understood the concept of war as a situation of conflict between two groups of human beings when it is latent, and outright arms confrontation.
Yes.
But here I see you cite nature, war against nature. You give examples like against viruses, diseases, and all of that. Are you giving a new meaning to that word? In other words, a stipulative meaning to the word.
So when I say ghastly wars, because there is this idea of fatality. It's fatal because people die in wars. And when there is hurricane somewhere, you hear of people who die. Many of them. And the destruction, extends to material destruction as well. So it's all the same. When you hear of an earthquake, it's the same phenomenon. When you hear of floods, people are dying in the floods, houses are destroyed, and so on and this. So we have to lump all this. And then when diseases come, like the virus, so, in fact, if we have to fight against the virus, we call it war against virus. Right? So, even hunger, we can declare war against hunger because we have to stop the hunger, because hunger takes away lives.
So we see in that a stipulative type of definition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, it is poor, Ghastly WARS, It's a very short poem. It's a 3-stanza poem, in which you see again that every successful day is a victory over these wars. And for this victory to persist, there must be peace and love for one another. Peace and love for one another must reign, to use your own words. I seem to see, some tears running down your cheeks through these lines. Are you in any way, talking about the very doleful situation in Cameroon today, whereby, separatists have taken up arms and, fighting government forces and as well as killing civilians?
Yes, in fact, the poem is universal, but at the same time, what provoked it is the fact that I am Cameroonian. And as far as we are concerned here in Cameroon, it's a period when we don't have peace. And we are all beggars of peace. We are all begging for peace. So this is my own way of begging for peace and love.
Being a Cameroonian, you're directing your words both to the separatist fighters and the government forces.
And the government forces, yes.
That's right.
So whoever, somebody gave a very good analogy. The fact that, them ants, there can be red ants and black ants put in a bottle. They don't fight one another. They don't do anything to one another. But once you shake the bottle, they all realize that no, there is danger in the air. And so the other part, the red ants now will be attacking the black ants, and the black ants will be attacking the red ants. So something might have happened. So what happened to Cameroon? That this kind of situation is persisting.
Yet you see that every waking day is a victory, a huge victory for humanity. In a war situation, can we declare anyone a victor?
Not declaring anyone a victor, but what we are saying is that the victory is for humanity, those who survive it. Those who survive it. Because we had great wars like the First World War, the Second World War, and other wars that we've had. They were survivors. Because they were those survivors, today we have the United Nations Organization. Today we have the United Nations Organization, which I think is a victory for humanity, because after this war, human beings decided to come together, nations decided to come together.
You seem to say we should welcome situations of conflict, so that we get something.
It is not welcoming the situations of conflict, but when the conflicts occur, what do? And when we survive them, we can lose our lives. So that's why I said the fact that we are there we should take it as a victory, and so thank God for it. So that's the idea. Yes.
Sammy, I add my voice to yours in this poem, Ghastly Wars, in calling for peace in Cameroon, in our one peaceful island, Cameroon. Nobody's right to kill the other. So we use this opportunity, to call on the fighters to, come to the negotiation table and, make peace, because it is only when there is peace that there can be progress and justice.
Yes, and to add to that, love. Would insist again, love and tolerance. Yes. So it is this love that covers everything. Because, generally, they say you should love your neighbor as yourself. So if you love your neighbor as yourself, your neighbor offends you, you look for a better way of bringing amends. and not to go into war because you've been offended by your neighbor.
Let love lead.
Yes, let love lead.
Rambles of